it's Melissa. In this video, I'm going to show you start to finish on how to do your first print and cut in Silhouette Studio V5. So even if you are not a beginner at Silhouette, even if you are not a newbie to print and cut, if you are new to V5, I would highly suggest you watch this video because there are some really important and pretty big changes in V5. If you want to get your registration marks perfect on the first try, check this out. Okay, so here we are in Silhouette Studio. This is what you will most likely see when you launch Silhouette Studio V5. So first thing is up here where it says starter mode. My suggestion, honestly, regardless of if you're a starter or beginner or not, is to toggle this off. Really, what it does is it shows you the label for each of the tools on the right sidebar. However, if you just hover over it, even when it's off, it shows you the exact same thing, and you'll see all of your tools as opposed to just the ones that Silhouette deems beginner friendly. For that, I would just suggest turning that starter mode completely off. Okay, now when we are doing a print and cut, we have a couple of things that we need to do. The first thing that I would do, and I suggest this all the time, is to go to File, Print Page Setup, and what you're going to do here is you are going to select your printer. Now, I'm on a Mac, so this is going to look a little bit different if you are on a PC, but regardless, you do not want your any printer to be selected. You want to select the printer that you are going to be using. So I have an Epson 2800, which I actually have multiple of these. The reason this says Bob is because it's attached to my husband's. I have my own in my office. I really like this printer, which is why I have multiple of them. So I will link to that in the description below. Second thing that you want to do is make sure that the size of the paper that you are using is selected. So we've got paper size selected and click OK. That is important, and I'm going to show you why. The next thing that you want to do is open up page setup. So right now this is set up with a cutting mat with a 12 by 12 piece of material. It is not set up for print and cut, but this is a first print and cut in Silhouette Studio V5, and so that is why we need to open up page setup to make some adjustments. So first of all, you need to make sure that the machine that you're using is selected. You can see I have all of these machines. In this case, I'm going to use my CAMEO 5, which is connected, which is why it says auto. Manual feed, that's what we want. We're not using the sheet feeder, so we'll click manual. Cutting mat, again, selected as auto, 12 by 12. If you want to change it, you can. I always suggest leaving it as auto if possible. Media size, this is the most important option when doing print and cut. You want to set it to printer. And the reason that we set the printer in the first step where we went to file, print page size, is because now it knows that the printer that we're setting it to is using this size paper. So instead of selecting something like A4 or letter, you're going to select printer. This is the #1 issue when it is set incorrectly that causes registration errors. Okay. All right. So this is where the changes for CAMEO 5 or V5 begin with print and cut. It used to be that you had more options on this panel right here, that you could turn on the cut border, which is the red, and then also turn on the print border. Unfortunately, we now have to go for one option to grid settings and check the box to show print border. This border is very important because it indicates where you are able to print using your printer. If the registration marks fall out of this area, fall below this area, they will not print, and you will again get a registration mark error. Now, what you don't see on this used to be a third tab here for registration marks. Silhouette in V5 has decided to pull that out and require you to open up a new tab, a new panel. I will tell you, for your first print and cut on V5, my suggestion is to use the default settings with the registration marks. And if you're going to do that, you actually don't even need to open up the new panel. You can just click M on your computer and the registration marks will appear. If you click M again, they will disappear. If you click it again, they will reappear. If you decide, or if you need to open up the registration marks tab, it is right here. Now this is, as I said, another panel. So the reason for this, why we didn't need to open it, is because all we're literally doing is checking this box. However, if let's say one of your registration marks has fallen below the safe print area. If you need to adjust the size, which I would not do as a beginner or as a first-time user in V5, this is the only spot that you can restore the defaults for the registration marks, okay? If you need to change the length, thickness, or position of the registration marks, again, these are advanced settings here. I would not do that, but this is where you're going to do it. You have to open up this whole new tab, okay, or this whole new panel. So that's it. So in this, at this point, your Silhouette Studio page for print and cut in V5 is set up. This is exactly where you need to be. These settings will give you the best chance at success with print and cut. Now, we are ready now to import our design. So there's a couple of ways to do this. You can go up to File, Merge, and pull in your files. So I have files in here that I'm going to open. When you have a preference for print and cut specifically, I would highly suggest using a PNG because it will already, first of all, it will auto trace, and secondly, you will only get cut lines around the outer edge. So let's say we want to use this little truck. I'm going to click OK, and it will import. There are other ways to import files as well. I have multiple tutorials on them. And if you ever get stuck with print and cut, or anything with your Silhouette, don't forget that I always offer one-on-one personalized support, same day support. All of that is done through Silhouette U, and I will link to that in the description below as well. Okay, so we have one of our designs here. You can see I sized it down to a sticker appropriate size. If I want to make duplicates of this, I'm just gonna right click, duplicate, and that's literally the same as copy paste, okay? Now, in this situation, I have well, I'll just show you. I'm gonna go to the send panel, and what you're gonna see is it's gonna have cut lines all the way around each individual piece, which is not what we are going to want, but I do want you to just see that first. So do you see how, like, this would not be a sticker, right? It would just cut a whole bunch of different things. So we need to go back to the design area and add an offset around these. So I'm actually just going to do this all at once. I'm going to select both, click the offset panel, which now opens, select offset. Okay, so what you can see is that now I only have one cut line around the very edge. Neither one is overlapping. If I want, I can size it down a bit. I'm sizing it though so that it does not become more than one cut line. And then I'm going to click apply. Now, I need to deal with a few things. I'm going to zoom in just so you can see. One, this is now over, this cut, my offset is now over the cut border. So I need to move that in so that it cuts correctly. This one will likely end up with a cutting error because I'm too close to the registration marks. So I'm going to select that and move it down. Okay, so it's not in the hashed area and not touching the registration marks and not overlapping the other one. And the final thing here that I might want to change is you see I have this extra cut line here. That's just due to the offset. If I want to get rid of that, to select directly on the offset line. If you're wondering, like, why isn't my offset selecting? See how I'm clicking right here and it's not selecting? The reason is because my offset itself is transparent. I'm literally clicking on nothing. I have to click on the line. Unless the image is filled with a color, solid color, you will not be able to click on it. If it's transparent like it is here, I have to click directly on the line. To get rid of this little piece, I need to right click, release compound path. And at this point now I can select this one by itself and delete, and I'll repeat that process over here as well. Release compound path and delete. Okay, now I'm ready and I can move to the send panel. And when I do that, what you're gonna see is I have cut lines in extra areas that I don't want. Okay, so we'll deal with that over here. So now I have not only the offset, but I have these interior cut lines as well. So I can do one of two things. I can select the entire truck and say ignore cut lines. and now it's only going to cut the offset. Or I can select the entire thing, offset and the truck, and tell it use only use the outline of the selection only. So this is another one of those big changes that Silhouette made, and I have another tutorial on explaining the use of this. This used to be cut, this used to be cut edge, and this used to be no cut, and they all used to be over here. They have completely changed this. It's going to take a little getting used to. Okay, so now our design is all ready to be cut. At this point, we need to make some adjustments to our machine itself. To our settings themselves. Okay, so mine is saying unavailable. That is because my Cameo is not turned on. If you are in the guide area, and you do not see any machines in this list, you can click rescan. What I will tell you is guide, regardless of if you're in starter mode or not in starter mode, I don't think it works very well. I think it creates a lot of connection issues. Okay, so my machine is actually connected. The Bluetooth is on, but if I click Bluetooth on the machine again, turn it off and then turn it back on, what you're gonna see is my machine pops up. But by the time I click it, if I click connect, sometimes, not always obviously, because this time it worked, it will not show up. And then I'll have to click continue. Now I prefer to be in the standard mode, and now it doesn't say no machine or no connection. What it says is no media loaded, which is fine. That just means my mat is not loaded yet. Now I go down here, I select my material. Another change for print and cut. You can search your material, or you can go by basically categories. If you have, if you have custom cut settings, that's what these yellow marks are. It means that this one has not been brought in yet. It hasn't been imported over from a prior version, okay? So pretty much all of my custom materials are, as you can see here, missing. That's a whole nother tutorial. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use sticker paper white, even though it's my online labels sticker paper, which is what I use exclusively, always works. The manual 2mm blade is what is in my machine, but I'm not going to use that, so I'm actually going to change that right now to say 1mm blade. So, and then I'll swap it out before I cut. And then what I have down here are my settings. Cut force of 14, speed 8, blade depth. It's telling me this one that's right in the center that's like kind of lit up blue, I need to adjust my blade manually to a blade depth of 2, okay? And then it's doing 1 pass. If you want to change any of them, you just have to use it here. Line segment, I don't need that right now because there's no like real sharp curves or anything on there. If you're wondering what the line segment overcut is, I have plenty of tutorials on that, okay? And now I am ready to both print and cut. So at this point, I'm going to print. I can go up here to do file print, or I can go down here and click print, and then again, select the printer that I'm using and go through the process there. The rest of this is the same as you would use if you were using Silhouette Studio V4, so I'm not going to go through that full process, but the page setup, the send panel, all of those settings for getting your cut lines where you want them, those are all different in V5. And this tutorial, regardless of if you are new to Silhouette, new to print and cut, or just new to V5, is really important to make sure that you get a successful print and cut. Again, if you guys are looking for personalized help, one-on-one support, same-day answers, Silhouette U is where you will find it all. I will link to that in the description below. The code YouTube will get you a savings on that, 50% off your first month. So feel free to use that, and we hope to see you around.